Hello and welcome to Wikipedia Weekly Network, here where Albin Larsson and I, Jan Ainali, are editing Wikidata Live. How are you doing, Albin?
I'm doing great, and I kind of become happy about our theme today.
Indeed, we're in springtime.
Indeed.
So we have the theme of spring, and last week we went into daylight savings time, and that was sort of also a little bit like for the year, and we can see right now it went into the clouds, but I had sun here just before this, so we're heading towards. What about spring will you edit today?
So something I always get around to do in the spring is species observation on iNaturalist, because I'm not that much of a bird person or like insects or mammals, so we don't have a lot of plants visible in the winter. But when spring comes around, I get going on species observation once again. And iNaturalist has this really nice feature where you can create a place with a boundary, for example, for a nature reserve. And that's what I'm gonna do because we have those boundaries on Wikimedia Commons. And we can also connect that item to Wikidata. So we can actually see then later on, because there is a user script, we can actually on a Wikidata item about the nature reserve, see what observation has been made there. So I just earlier today visited the nature reserve so I could take a bunch of pictures of plants, and now I'm gonna add a place for it so we can see those observations in
All
Wikidata.
right, that's some serious prepping.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I haven't uploaded those. So I will kind of cheat a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit. Yeah.
all right, yeah.
And you, Jan?
Uh, I'm thinking I'm gonna sort of explore the item for spring on Wikidata and see how it's being used, and then I'm gonna see if we can use it in more ways on more items or in the same ways on more items, and also see if does anything look weird, because sometimes when you do a little bit of a deep dive, you can find things that look non-obvious or something like that. So and to explore, I'm gonna start sharing my screen here, I guess. Let me put this one on. So here's the item for spring, and right now I'm actually trying out a number of new user scripts, so it's a little bit messy here, but full with things. But it's an item like many others, and I'm not going to start editing in here. I'm just going to see that like this is the one. It has a very low and nice QID 1312, and instead I'm going to head into Wikidata query service, and I want to find out which properties are being used to describe spring. So that's sort of like what I'm going to try, because it's could be in many different ways. So I'm going to start writing a query here, and like my favorite thing to do is hitting Control Space and pick one of these. And I'm going to go with my favorite of these as well, this one. I almost, if you watched here, I almost always go with this one. And I'm going to select an item. I might not be very interested in which items, but I'm going to select it as well to be able to make some sort of judgment call. Does this look okay? And then I'm going to select, and usually we write something like name an item here, like WDT:T31 for instance of. I'm not going to do that tonight because I actually don't know which properties I'm looking for. So I'll give this a name instead. And when you give names, Sparkle doesn't really care about the name, except for the magic thing with label here. So you can give them whatever. But I'm going to give it something that makes sense to me, because I find this to be a little bit difficult. So I'm going to call this property relation. And then here I want this to be the spring thing. What was it now? It was something low. 1312, there we have it. Like this. But then to find the property, I will have to go, and now I'm going to say here, I want the property, and I want the property item. And this will be a Wikibase something, and here we have also autocomplete, and I think this one is called direct claim. This is the one I want. And the direct claim is going to be the property relation. And that's how these things are connected. And I'll admit, I haven't fully internalized this in my head, how it actually works, but I've used it a number of times now. So now I sort of like are getting into the rhythm. And if you try this out yourself, it don't knock on yourself if it's a little bit hard. So it takes some time to practice this. But I think this will give us something. Well, it won't give us anything because I haven't selected something up here. So up here, I want to have I can take the property item. I can take the property item label as well. And I'll remove the auto because that's just the same. Let's see if this works. If it gives us something. So 405 results. And this is actually what I wanted. So we see a number of items, and here we have some sort of like what the property name is. And of course, named after, quite obvious. Now we see the labels here in just English. And of course, this could be named after in some other language, and it's not exactly the same in English. Because here we see, I guess this is perhaps Portuguese, perhaps French. This might be Ukrainian, and so forth. So, but they have the same labels in English. And then we come down here, we have, I guess these are different kinds of artwork where spring is depicted. That seems quite okay. What else do we have? Oh, subclass of spring in Sweden, yes. Part of, has part or parts. Main subject, of course. Probably have a lot of poems and songs about spring. Yes, and that's reconfirming. Thank you. Oh, and then we have this lovely little thing for categories that combines topics. So I'll take a look at this one. I don't think we have looked at this here before. So this property takes two other items and sort of say, which is this? So it actually makes it possible to find sort of like what the thing is about in these combined categories that we have a lot of. And when I say a lot of, I mean we have very, very many. Season starts. Okay, yes, they might start in the spring. Named after, again, depicts. This looks odd. Located in the. Let's take a look at that one. Nah, it can't really be located in the spring unless it's a fictional house which sort of like magically lives in the spring. But
yeah, I don't. Yeah,
no,
and it gives a warning. It's a hint.
Yes, it's a hint. I'm gonna. Oh, it's interesting here. We have two bots editing this.
Oh, what's the reference then?
Persian
It's
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So that should be text spot, then I'm gonna say there's something odd about that import, and I'm actually gonna delete it.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
It's not located in the Spring. Permanent duplicated item. We have a few of these. Summer, winter follows, followed by. Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Categories main topic, of course.
Opposite of autumn.
Sort of.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll buy it.
I see how they were thinking.
Yeah.
Oh. Blåsippor, main subject. What could that be? The Swede in me reacts.
I think this is either a song or a poem.
Yeah.
This is Blåsippor ute i backarna står.
Oh, right. So blåsippor is Swedish for lever leaf, I think.
A very common thing you see in early spring, and people are putting their images on all the social media. I see the first one. They might not be the earliest though, but they're in the top 3, I guess.
Yeah. At least among the common ones that people recognize.
Yeah. Oh, and we also have lexemes, of course, with item for this sense, which is sort of like so this sense should mean the spring, have that meaning. Very nice. Set
a lot of games.
During recurring event.
That's an interesting one, but it seems to be commonly used that way.
I didn't know this one. This one is fairly new as well. 9,000. Interesting. Yes, very useful. Then you can have video games, of course, doing a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and imagine television could be one thing that would be.
And movies.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, more lexemes.
A lot of items. Lexemes. All right.
Putting Nicolas lexeme outburst here.
But I thought this was good. I'm a little bit curious about. It was hard to get a sense of the numbers. I'm going to try to do a count here to see how many of each there are. Then I'm not
of each property.
Yeah, so I'm not really bothered about the items anymore. I'm going to copy these because I'm going to need to do a group by here. And by these two, and up here, I'm going to do a count. I'm going to count the first one, I think, is best. Hold on. Let's just call it count. And let's order it by count, descending. So now we should get these in some sort of like. All right, so 20 different properties are using this, most in depicts, and these combined topics, a few in main subjects, 45 lexemes, very nice. And do we have any more odd here with 1 or 2 that could be wrong? Well, these all seems like they're could be right.
Domain of saint.
Yeah, so there will be a saint of the spring.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yep.
Has contributing factor.
Yes, that's that was the wind, like the spring is causing a specific wind.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Which is, I can see that point.
Ooh, and when I said that, let me go back. Can I easily? This just.
Yeah, you can reset to last.
Yes, just back in my browser here. So let's see if we. Oh, 404. Yes, it updated the one we removed. Contributing factor, Control F. Here, the phone wind. Let's probably yes. But this got me thinking about a Swedish word, vårflod.
Right, indeed.
So let's see.
That's by kind of definition caused by spring.
Yes. So I guess it's this one. We have a lot of war named after Wikipedia. Oh, this is a little bit sad. Nothing in it.
Oh.
Is this the right article? It is.
Yeah.
Only in Swedish. What could
But
this be? If anyone in the
spring flood, isn't that a term in English as well?
Perhaps if anyone in the stream knows the phenomena where the rivers and get much more water flow in the spring because snow is melting. What is that called in other languages? Let's see if we can merge this to something. Let's search for spring floods, perhaps.
Yeah, spring flood or floods. Spring flood painting.
Yeah, there's something here in at least. Spring flood. It's flooding. Flood. Let's do a search.
And as Nicholas says, it's not sad. It's an opportunity for improvement.
Indeed.
As we say, it's a wiki.
All right. There's a lot to be done in the spring flooding department, I see, because there's scientific articles, of course, about it.
But if we search on English Wikipedia just for spring flood, do we get redirected somewhere, maybe?
Perhaps we get. Let's see. So we'll go spring.
Let's see.
Flooding.
No. Interesting.
Is this perhaps something that is... I mean, there must be more English-speaking countries like that have a lot of snow melting, because this is, of course, very common in Sweden, because we have a lot of snow, and in the spring it melts and we get flooded everywhere. And as you can see here, like sometimes when it's extreme, entire like villages might be damaged by it.
Yeah.
We should at least be... Then let's go back to here. I'm not even sure. Well, we do have a couple of spring flood here, or spring flooding. So I think we can safely add... It shouldn't be... We had a spring flooding.
Indeed.
Flood or flooding?
Flood.
And we'll fix the Swedish label as well there.
Right.
Right. Now it will be easier for people to find if it's... So I guess this is a subclass of flood. Yes.
And an instance of a phenomenon of some kind?
Perhaps. Which one?
Or is it a subclass of another phenomenon, like nature? I think I've seen an item used recently to describe it, like...
What is flood?
Yeah. Because I think we were just discussing this the other day, how weather was modeled on Wikidata.
This is also under natural disaster. So that's sort of something in that area.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily correct with like spring flood.
They can be moderate, yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel we use it that way in Swedish, at least.
No.
Like it can just be a lot of water.
Yeah. Well, let's start there at least, and we can sort of let's head back here. What kind of properties did we have? Did we have something with season starts?
Oh, here we got what I was thinking of. Natural phenomenon.
All right. Yes.
It's maybe more of a subclass of a natural phenomenon rather than a flood.
I agree with you, since
Yeah.
that one was in natural disaster. So let me see if
And
I
we even
can.
got the Q number here.
Yes. Can I copy from there?
No.
No. All right. So I'll go back here and I'll edit this one. Natural phenomenon. There we go.
There.
I'll have. Now let's see. Could I also move forward here? No. Now I lost the grouping. I should have made this in separate tabs. Let's see if I can use something of my earlier today preparations to just I'm curious about this season starts. Is this only for sports? Yes. All right. So we shouldn't use that one. I was almost like, well, spring flood starts when spring with that season, but this is not what we should use. Then we could use named after because that's true. And then has contributing factor as well. Now it should pop up somewhere, some more. All right. What else could we give to this? There was a good image on the Swedish Wikipedia. Let's check that one out. Is this also in a category? This is not. Let's just use this one. Image. First one. There we go. Yeah, let's leave that for now. I just want to quickly show a query here that you used in episode 47. And I just copied that and modified it a little bit. So if you want to have the full explanation, you can go back to episode 47 and watch that. And I'm gonna do it a little bit quicker here right now because I think this is a very useful thing when you're sort of exploring a topic and want to add stuff to it. Because I was thinking, I want to search for the label with the Swedish word for spring in it. But if you're not narrowing it down in the query service, just searching for something in the label will time out because there's too many items. So you could sort of like, I want to just search in paintings or something like that, and it might not time out. But instead, you could also use the query service API search to help you with this, because that one is much quicker to do it. And here I just copy and pasted from your query, where and what I'm doing here, I'm saying I want to use the Wikidata endpoint for the API. I'm using the search, and here I'm actually going to say I'm searching for spring in Swedish, and this one is, well, I don't want it to be a scholarly article, and that removes a couple of 30-40 millions of items we don't need to search for at all. And then I'm just giving the item back to the thing here, and I optionally want to see, does it already have a topic? And I only want to see if it's in Swedish as well. So that's what it does. And I'm going to share this link because this is using the MW API for things like this when you don't really know what you're looking for in the query service, like how you would use the search in Wikidata. It's quite powerful. So let's search that one, and let me share this here as well so you have it. Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. Oh, I pasted the entire query in there. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I just wanted this little part. There's the one. Now let's see what we got here. So I guess this is spring.
Yeah.
And this is probably something about, oh, so this is a metaphorical spring rather than actual spring. And I guess this one is, oh, and let me.
That's a taxon, right? Yeah.
Yes. This is a taxon. So here we could use named after. And I guess taxon common name. Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Would we do it as... Do we use
exactly?
name?
How would we do it? Is it on the item but with a qualifier, or is it the qualifier itself?
Yes, on this one. So we could, I guess, spring pheasant's eye. Here we could have like, oh, that seems common because it suggests it.
Yeah.
So let's try that. Spring. That one, this one.
Is that one of... yeah, spring? Yeah, right. Completely.
Very interesting. Yes. So there might be more uses like this that I didn't catch in my query when it's used as qualifier.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine for plants, it would be rather common.
Yeah.
We got another plant. I see several plants.
Yes. So it finds something here, but not in the Swedish label.
Yeah, indeed. That's interesting.
So and that's because when I do this search, it doesn't care which language it is.
But that would be a Scandinavian language, most likely.
Well, it's very likely. I would guess that like if it have this letter, it's probably Norwegian. So let's see here. If I can see all the languages. Where do we have Norwegian? No. Oh, no, it jumped.
There we go. Musip. It's the same as in Swedish. So it's not Norwegian? Oh, this is interesting.
What
could it be Danish?
Danish! Ah.
Right.
Yes. And I could add it there. I'm pretty sure it's saying in Danish. And then I have a few more. And here I could go on and add work here. And let me just quickly sort by topic here. See what topics are already. Oh, very interesting. Ah, yes, because we have a lot of false positives here, because the Swedish word for spring is also the
Oh,
Swedish word for hour. So we get a lot of random stuff in here.
right.
Ah, interesting. Yes. So this would be a very bad thing to do something automatically about, because
Yeah, and I
yeah.
imagine, especially in between the Scandinavian languages, sometimes
Hmm.
hey, this only means one thing in Swedish,
Yes.
but it means a different thing in maybe Norwegian, Danish, and so on.
Yeah.
So this is something, even if you think that this is not just one thing in this language, think again.
Yeah. Oh, and Nicholas said, scholarly articles. It was 13 that had spring in it, and or hour. We don't know. So yeah.
We
And
got a
yeah,
bit of nuclear power there.
hmm So I have a lot of things to work on here, but I'm not gonna do all these 1100 something in this stream. I'm instead gonna hand it over to you.
Right. And I'm gonna start actually to show what I want to achieve today. So this is a nature reserve in Wikidata, a Swedish one, and we have this great feature here, or a small user script I wrote about a year ago, I believe, and it allows you, when you are on any item with an external identifier to iNaturalist or an iNaturalist place, and then it can show like observation here. So we can see that, for example, lever leaf have been seen here in this nature reserve, the same with marsh mangold, and so on. But this doesn't show up if there isn't a place in iNaturalist
Mm.
which is connected from Wikidata.
Mm.
So this is what I want to do today to ensure that we can get something like this working. And this user script, to begin with that, because this works often on countries and things like that as well, on a bit of a larger scale. And it's user abi98 slash inaturalist.js. So that's what you want to install in case you want to check that out. And this already got it. And if we look on like the Swedish Wikipedia, we can see very clearly why it's very easy for us to do it in Sweden. And this is the article, but down here we actually got like a geometry and a map, which if I click open here, it's interactive, and this geometry is somewhere in the wikiverse, so to say. And we can use that to create that boundary, which means that all of the observations within this will automatically show up in that. But this nature reserve already have one. So this is the goal for the day, Lean Udden's nature reserve. It's a great one. Saw a lot of plants there today. And I'm thinking we should set something up. And here we can see we got a geometry, which we want to import. And you could, if you don't have like the geometry on like Wikipedia, like this, you can actually draw it yourself and upload it that way. But we already got it, so I'm going to use that. But first, I'm going to head over to iNaturalist here, because that's where we're going to start. We need to create a new place. And it was a while since I did this. But first, I want to ensure that this does not exist already. So I'm just going to search for the location like this. New results. Just going to double check new results on places. So I can move on to create it. And then I think I go on the more, I go straight to places. Let's see here. And I click add a new place. It's a little hidden. I give it a name. and it's, I think we have a special format we use. It's not perfect, but that is how we name all of them in Sweden. So I'm gonna continue with that. Parent, like the parent geometry here, there could be a lot of things, and you could discuss this for forever, I feel like. But the most common thing in Sweden we do for nature reserve is to have the municipality. So this would be Nyköping. Here we go. Like that. And then we got KML, and here is where the geometry comes in. So first we need to find that geometry. Where does it come from? And we can actually see here that it says edit Wikidata here in Swedish. So this is an info box from Wikidata.
Is there a small link just underneath the map as well? Or was that something else?
Let's see.
The Wikimedia thing
no,
there?
that's the term
no,
of use for the maps.
Right.
So Wikidata, let's see. And we have U-shape here. There are a couple of properties that takes maps like this, but U-shape is a very generic one. And this actually leads us to commons and the data namespace. I think we have been there a couple of times, and it's a super cool one. I don't think there is just an easy way to download this, but we can go to edit.
Yes.
And there's
a gadget of commons that makes it easy.
Oh, that's nice. And now this is a very custom format nowadays actually for Wikimedia Commons. But I use a service called geojson.io because a part of this is something called GeoJSON. So if I take from this down to, let me see if I can guess the correct one. I think 2, maybe, something like that. And if I just go to this service and paste it in here, we're gonna see if I copy the right thing. I did. And then it renders it here on the map because this is something called GeoJSON. We can't use that in iNaturalist, but I can paste it into this service and click save and shows KML. So I'm gonna do that, download the map. Let's see, I'm heading back here and I'm gonna browse my computer. I don't think you can see that, but I'm essentially picking the file I just downloaded. Yeah. So that was map 6. I got a lot of files named map. And here we got map 6.
Yeah.
I'm gonna double check that was the one indeed. Place type. Let's double check on an existing place to see what that.
Yes, that might. We didn't see the possible things to choose from.
Oh, right. It was a long list of things.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna double check what we're using here. So I'm gonna search for that one I used showcase in the beginning and see what is the type. Oh, and then I came to different type of. Let's see if I go to places first and find place here. Maybe that's the trick. Here we go. Which view? It gave me a different view. Then I want to see the type. About, maybe? Let's see.
If you go to edit place in the right.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be edit place. What type? It says unknown. Okay, so we leave it to unknown for now then. Okay, checklist allowed. Yes, I think so. And it's an internal thing on iNaturalist for checking things off. Like you can make. We want to see all of this. And I think I'm just gonna save that. So here we have one. There are no species yet, and it can be that there aren't any observations just within the geometry just yet, and it takes a while sometimes for it to trigger. But I think we might be able to demo some of it anyway. No, however, we still are missing that connection to Wikidata. So I'm gonna head over to this existing one and see what's going on here. So if I go down here, we see the
Mm.
identifier iNaturalist, place ID, and then a number. However, if I go over here in the URL, which is like the place I look for identifiers, it doesn't have that identifier. So I think what I usually do is I go to edit place. No, it still don't give me the identifier. I did something like this, I imagine. Let's see. Can I just navigate like this? No. This is why we sometimes should check things on beforehand. And if I go to about, I can't see it either. If I go to that different view, maybe I can see it there. Vinudden. If I go to this view, so if I search here and goes to like the map view, then I can see the ID up here, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I can then head back to the item. I remember there was some trick to it. Let's see. iNaturalist place ID, and let's see. There we go. So what if I reload? Will I get that iNaturalist option now? I do. Still, there isn't any observations, but maybe it worked. Yeah. So it just says that no species has been listed for this place yet. So it will work when I make my uploads, not tonight, but maybe tomorrow. They will start showing up here. And I think if we go, for example, to a municipality, a much larger place, like we can go to the parent one we selected here, and we still get this iNaturalist, and here we should get a lot of things. So a wood animal, someone you saw that, I imagine, because it's listed higher up. We see common alder, also something we see in the spring, wild pansy, and so on. So that's how it works. And there is still, I think we did this not on one of our streams, but on the biodiversity streams, which if you're interested in this type of thing, this is the perfect type of stream to check out. Highly recommend it. And yeah, there is still a lot of places which do not have this identifier yet. So people matching that, that's great. For example, if you have municipalities in your country on Wikidata and on iNaturalist, but they are missing that connection. That's a great effort to go with. So let's just, before we play around a little more with this, let's recap. We ensured we could get this by creating a new place on iNaturalist. And we did that by importing a geometry from Wikimedia Commons. However, something I want to say once more is that in Sweden we are very lucky. We got all of these geometries. For example, this one, I don't think it's the correct shape really. I think it's more actually along the forest here. But what you can also do is that if you don't have it, you can use this ujson.io service and actually draw a geometry like this. And then you could download it as a KML and use it on iNaturalist. Or you could draw it here, upload it to Wikimedia Commons, and use it in a Wikipedia article and on iNaturalist. So I highly recommend this service if you, for example, need to make your own custom maps on Wikipedia, because it has a little bit more features than what's built in, and especially if you want them on Commons rather than directly in a Wikipedia article. Let's see if we go to an observation. We might take, I think I have a quite recent one in NatureServe, like finding our way to I think speaking of what Jan said, that we post those images on social media. I post them on iNaturalist. Here's the lever
Even
leaf.
better.
Can't call myself a photographer, but that's an observation. And if I want to find my way to this nature reserve, like which is connected to Wikidata, it's not really displayed here easily. But here's the general location under the map, and it says details here. And if I click here, we can see a lot of related places. Some of them are like the continent or even Sweden, and just the administrative levels, like official ones. But then we can see the community created ones as well, like this Himling Awesome, which is linked. So if I click this, and I think we're gonna navigate Orchard away from Wikipedia as well. Then I can actually see the observations within this nature reserve on a map like this, rather than like in the Wikidata in just a table. So here we can actually browse, and I think I just observed this last weekend, so I should be able to believe that that's a lever leaf. Oh, maybe I can click it here. Actually,
No, it's just slow.
there.
There you go.
If I hover it's over there. But if I'm on the same item on Wikidata, I think it's just to click off a button here. That's Recoin, right? I got a little bit many user scripts here, but they stack rather well. So I think, can I click browse? Yeah, I think I just click. No, that gives me a drop down. Interesting.
So this gives you the species, not the latest photos.
Yeah, exactly. These aren't the photos either of the observation. It's like just gives us the species which has been observed.
There's some sort of like a featured photo for each species.
Yeah, exactly. Like a very good descriptive photograph.
Yeah.
And I wonder now, can I find my way to a naturalist in this one? I can go to each of the species, but I can't go to the place itself. In this case, the nature reserve. But then what you need to do is go down to the external identifier and see the map here instead and all observations. Right. So that's just one neat thing I enjoy to do, because it also, I don't think we have done it in this item I just wearing. Yes, we have. So we have this taxophone at location.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, this is common juniper, if my Latin is somewhat
I think
right.
so. Yeah.
So that one I'm actually not sure. And this allows us to just add the various. You can like go up here and see if something is commonly observed. Like I think it's actually ranked here. So lever leaf is very common and so on. Not 100% sure on that, but this gives you a nice hint anyway.
Yeah.
For example,
Can be some sort of like popularity bias in that.
Indeed. Photographing flowers are easier than photographing some other things like animals that move.
Yes.
Or
I haven't still not managed to capture a butterfly because they're moving all the time. I see them, but I
right.
can't take a photo.
Exactly. And for example, flowers are much more popular as something you photograph compared to maybe a grass.
Yeah.
Or some moss.
Yeah.
Ultra, I like moss.
I really liked that there was actually some lichen in that image.
Yeah, it's a sunburst lichen here. And
that's good.
Here's a fungus as well. So, but that's a great, not always a source, but still like a hint of what the taxophone application you can add. And this just happens to be a great example because we actually have this. So yeah, and I think you can actually find your way to a naturalist and orchard way here. If you, for example, click on juniper, or what I believe is common juniper.
Looks like that.
Yeah, common Uniper. Yeah. We see some images, but if we go down, we actually have another external identifier to iNaturalist. I think I used. So we got iNaturalist taxon ID. So if we head over there, let's see. We can actually see the common Uniper like this. And this is something I enjoy a lot myself because you can kind of see this graph of when it's observed. So common Uniper is something we always have around. But
Yes.
of course, their berries are commonly seen in August and
So
almost in the autumn.
observations there for something that's around all the time is more like when are people likely to take a photo of them?
Yeah,
And of course, when they see the berries, oh, we should have this.
indeed. And my like hope from the future, let's go to query service actually and play a little bit with this because I can imagine the future when we have populated that has taxon or taxon found in. You can do something like select star where I want to select nature reserves in Sweden, which have a species in it which I'm interested in seeing. Like, let's see, VDT instance of nature reserve. So this won't maybe work, and I instance of nature so VD. I think we have a very generic one for nature reserve. There we go, I believe. And that should be located in a tutorial entity. Let's make that just a municipality. Where do we have it? Down there we have the municipality. And imagine now if I could do item VDT taxon found at location, or is that it? No, it's like the reverse one. Let's see. Yeah, taxon found at location, that's it. And let's do common universe because it will actually return something. There we go. And imagine I could do this for just a plant that I'm interested in, and like where can I go to make observations? That for me, I think we have played around a bit with maps like that for like we can have monuments and we can have Earth when we can take photographs for static things. But imagine we could combine it with this as well. That for me would be amazing. So
Yes.
hey, I know we are at the time of the year where I can find lever leaf, but lever leaf enjoys like leaf forest and not pine forest. But I don't know which nature reserves looks that way. And while I can go to each Wikipedia article, I can't query for them. Just give me the nature reserves which contain lever leaf, which I can visit to see this. But the Wikidata has the opportunity to do this. So that's a future, I imagine. So for example, here it used to return that one nature reserve in Katrineholm municipality have common juniper. And that of course isn't the case. But maybe in the future we couldn't get a lot of them here. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to show today.
All right. So I have a question about the one you created, the Linoden.
Right.
It has a taxon in the name. I think that's flax in English, lean.
Yeah.
Do you think that will be observed there, or is it like a historical name?
I think it's because like if I zoom into this area, we can see that it doesn't really load yet. So
There we
Here, this is the forest.
go. Mm-hmm.
That's Linoden, and it's a very old forest, so I don't think they have had this plant here. But I imagine they might have planted it here because if I'm not
So they were
mistaken, this
growing it
entire
around there,
area,
and the
yeah,
yes, so the entire headland is
exactly.
the
So I
main.
think this headland or this
Yeah,
what's the word for udde
and that's
in
headland.
English? Yeah, okay, headland. So I imagine they could kind of maybe have planted it around here, and therefore it have gotten its name. So it's not named after, but named after. So the nature reserve is named after this
Yes.
place, and this
Yeah.
place is probably named after the plant.
Yes. So like we could have depicts of depicts on commons structured data, we can have named after
Exactly.
on Wikidata.
So that's how I think it has
Yeah,
ended up.
I agree.
So that's what I wanted to show today. What can we do today, and what can we envision for the future? Um, right.
Very
And
nice.
I want to get back to the mug question. We got a mug question here before we end. Mugs for Wikipedia Weekly Network Wiki Live Wikidata editing. I think this is a great idea, as I always have a mug, but I also think it's a great opportunity for something really geeky with Q numbers or with seams and that type of thing. So it's something to really think about. And I would love to hear some ideas, if we make a mug, what Q IDs should we have on it, or what seam numbers to really make it be funny, be a good joke maybe, or something like that.
And I'm gonna uh, just here. I stumbled upon this the other day, Depths of Wikipedia, which is this humorous uh, Instagram account, perhaps, or Twitter, that are finding fun tidbits from Wikipedia articles, and they also make some mugs here as well, and some of them are really funny.
Yeah,
So if you desperately want yourself a Wikipedia mug, these are actually on sale, so you can just buy them, I guess. So,
right. And if you want to see a Wikidata live editing mug, give us ideas for what we should put on those mugs, because I would be very happy to create such mugs if we have a really good idea out there.
yeah. Oh, and
Um,
here's a fun question. What is the longest chain of named after? Yes. We could probably have. I think there are some queries for seems like the etymology, but we could also have the similar thing in Wikidata as well, with the named after.
yeah,
All right. Yes, and Nicholas confirms both on Twitter and Instagram. So you can go look there. Maybe I should even drop the
yeah. Let's
link
see if
here
we.
in the chat and make some. So see if that goes out.
Yes, it went both to YouTube and Twitch.
Yes, doesn't connect out to the groups on Facebook, though.
Maybe we can put it like this, and if someone
Yeah,
shows this afterwards,
that's
they
great.
can pause it at least.
Yes,
So there we go.
there we go. So a little bit of the spring theme and getting out in the nature again.
Yeah.
And we haven't really figured something out for next week yet. So if you have ideas, send them our way, and we'll see if we can make something of it.
Indeed.
And with that, I guess, happy editing.
Happy editing.